Hey y'all, it's Kim. So this is the Ghislaine Maxwell deposition transcript of the case between her and Virginia Giuffre. There's also another one that has like 900 something pages, and then there's another document that actually has like over 2,000 pages. So I'm trying to get through these. I know I'm kind of going back and forth, but I've been concentrating on the Epstein stuff because it shouldn't die. I'm just gonna say that. But anyway, we're on page 97 right now, and I'm going to try to get through as many pages as I can today. But anyway, so let's get going. So it says, so you won't testify to anything I'm asking you 17 years ago about a statement you made. How do you know it's 17 years ago? We're talking about a time in 2000, right? Have you ever said that to anybody? I'm 54 years old, so you're asking me in my entire life what words are you asking me in my entire life? Your entire life is limited by the time you were with Jeffrey. This is the question. Let's time limit the question you're asking me. So, from let's say, I think you said you started with him in 1992. Is that correct? And finished with him in 2009? So, from 1992 to 2009, have you ever said to anybody that you recruit others and we will start with girls to take the pressure off you to have sex with Jeffrey? Mr. Pagliuca, this guy keeps objecting. Objection to the form and foundation. Uh, First of all, I resent and despise the word recruit. Would you like to define what you mean by recruit and by girls? You mean underage people? I never had to do anything with underage people. So why don't you re-ask the question in a way that I'm able to answer it? I'm asking you if you ever said that to anybody. So if you don't understand the word recruit and you never use that word, then the answer to that question will be no. I have no memory as I sit here today having said that. Did you ever meet an underage girl in London to introduce her to Jeffrey to provide him with the massage? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. Run that past me one more time. Did you ever meet an underage girl in London to introduce her to Jeffrey to perform a massage? Mr. Pagliuca, same objection. Are you asking me if I met anybody that was underage in London specifically to provide a massage to Jeffrey? Is that your question? Yes. No. Do you know who redacted is? I don't recall her right now. Do you know if, strike that, during the time that you were working for Jeffrey, did you ever observe any foreign females, so in other words, not from the United States, that were brought to Jeffrey's home to perform massages? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. Females, what age are we talking? Any age. Can you repeat the question? During the time you were working for Jeffrey, did you ever observe any foreign females of any age that were at Jeffrey's home to perform a massage? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. Are you asking me if any foreigner, not an American person, gave Jeffrey a massage? Yes. Well, as I sit here today, I can't think of anyone who is foreign. Certainly, I just can't think of anybody right this second. How about any foreign girls who were under the age of 18? I already testified to not knowing anything about underage girls. Were there foreign girls who were brought to Jeffrey's home by a redacted for the purpose of providing massages? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. I'm not aware of redacted bringing girls. I have not no idea what you're talking about. You were you have never been around foreign girls who are under the age of 18 at Jeffrey's homes. Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. Again. All right, if testified about not knowing about underage girls, did you provide any assistance with obtaining visas for foreign girls that were under the age of 18? I've never participated in helping people of any age to get a visas. Did Jeffrey Was it Jeffrey's preference to start a massage with sex? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form and foundation. I think you should ask that question of Jeffrey. Do you know? I don't believe that was his preference. I think you have to understand a massage. Perhaps you're not really familiar with what massage is. I am. I don't need a lecture on massage. I think you do. Mr. Pagliuca, no question pending. She will ask you another question now. Massage is for health benefits. When did you first meet Jeffrey? Some point in 1991. And did Jeffrey know your father? No. How were you introduced to Jeffrey? Some friend introduced us. Can you describe your relationship back in 1991? Was it friendship or was it girlfriend relationship or was it a work relationship? What was your relationship in 1991? It was just friendly. And I believe you testify you began working for him in 1992. Is that correct? Yes. In 1992, I know you gave me the description of the work that you were performing for him. How much was he paying you? Do you remember? I don't recall. Do you know, for example, in 2001, how much he was paying you? I don't recall. Did it change over the years or did the payment remain the same? I believe over the course of time it increased a little bit. Was that payment the payments that was the payment made with respect to the jobs, the work you were performing for Jeffrey? Was that your sole income at that time? Mr. Pagliuca, I object to the form. I'm also going to instruct you not to answer about sources of your personal sources of income outside of Mr. Epstein at all. Miss McCauley, what's the basis for that? Mr. Pagliuca, it's confidential. It's not part of this lawsuit. Miss McCauley, we have a protective order and it is part of this lawsuit with respect to our damage claims. Mr. Pagliuca, it's not, and in fact, you are not entitled to ask financial information of a defendant in this kind of case, in a defamation case, unless and until there is a finding that you're entitled to punitive damages. That is clear in New York case law, both state and federal. Ms. McCauley, we disagree on that point, and we will come back to that. From the sources of payment, from the sources or source of Jeffrey from your work, can you give me a range on that? Do you know what it was it over $100,000? I just testified I don't recall. You don't know if it was 500,000? It was less than that. Somewhere between 100 and 500. Would that be fair to say? I believe it was between 100 and 200,000. Did Jeffrey, during that time that you were working for him, purchase a townhome for you? The subject of the townhouse is I worked for it and I had a loan. We did loans. So a loan from Jeffrey, I don't recall the exact transaction. Did he purchase for you a helicopter during the time you were working for him? It was his helicopter. When did you attain your pilot license? I believe it was 98 or 99. Was that for both airplanes and helicopters or just helicopters? Just helicopters. Have you ever flown redacted on your helicopter? That is another one of Virginia's lies. The question is, have you ever done that? I have never flown redacted at any time ever in any helicopter, in any place, anytime, in any state, in any country, at any time, anywhere. Good grief. Have you ever had dinner with redacted at Jeffrey's home and or at any of Jeffrey's? I don't believe so. Have you traveled to Jeffrey's planes or traveled on Jeffrey's planes with redacted? Yes, I have. Would that have been in 2002? It's very hard for me to recollect exact dates, but that sounds about right. Was that during the time that Virginia was working for Jeffrey? I don't know I don't know that Virginia ever did work for Jeffrey. I don't exactly know if she testified to her so-called duties. We know she is a serial liar, so I can't testify to what she did or didn't do. So I object to the characterization of her. So repeat the question, please. Can you read the question back? Record read. You can answer the question. What was the question again? When you were traveling on the plane with redacted, was that during the time, it was not 2002, that you were on a flight with redacted? Was that during the time Virginia was working for Jeffrey? Mr. Pagliuca, object to the form, misstates the witness's answer, and if you can answer the question, you can answer it. Well, like I said, I don't recall when we know what Virginia claims when she left, so I can't answer the question. I have no idea. Do you know redacted? I do. How long have you known him? A very long time, since you were a child. It's so long, it's really a long time. I just don't recall. Do you remember how you first met him? No, I don't. or do not. Did you introduce him to Jeffrey? That would be another of Virginia's lies and the lies you perpetrate. I never introduced Redacted to Jeffrey Epstein at any time ever, so just add that to the long list of lies. Did Jeffrey know Redacted? Clearly, he knew him. I think we have that answered, but how? Yeah. Do you know how Jeffrey met Redacted? I do not know Jeffrey. I do not know Jeffrey met Redacted. What I do know is that I did not introduce them. That is one of the many lies. Are we telling all the lies? Do you know when Jeffrey met Redacted? I do not know when Jeffrey met Redacted. Did you ever introduce Redacted to any girls under the age of 18 who were not friends of yours children? Like our friends' children. Okay. I have not introduced Redacted to anyone that I'm aware of other than friends of mine who have kids under that age that he may have met socially through me. Did you ever introduce Redacted to Virginia in London? I understand her story about Redacted, but again, her tissue of lies is extremely hard to pick apart what is true and what isn't. Actually, I wouldn't recollect her at all, but for her tissue stories about this situation. So, did you introduce Redacted to Virginia in London? I have no recollection. Did Virginia ever stay at your home in London, your townhome? I know she claims she did, but if you're asking me here today to remember specifically, I cannot. Do you remember taking a trip with Virginia to travel over to Europe, including London? So I have been, or I've seen her reports, and I have seen the plane reports. I see she says she was on that, but again, I really have no recollection of her. Did you know that she was 17 at the time of that trip, Mr. Pagliuca? Objection to the form foundation. I have. Did you know she was 17 at the time of that trip, Mr. Pagliuca? Objection to the form of foundation. I didn't even know she was on the trip. Did you hold her passport for her when she was traveling? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. I have no recollection whatsoever of her even being on the trip for holding her passport, or nor holding her passport. Maxwell Exhibit 4, picture marked for identification. I'm showing you what we mark as Maxwell Exhibit 4. Can you take a look at that picture for me? I've looked at it. Are you in that picture? I am. Redacted. It is. Mr. Pagliuca, I don't believe this has been produced to us in discovery by you. Miss McCauley at the picture. Mr. Pagliuca, yes. Miss McCauley, it has. Miss Manager, it is the same exact photograph. Miss McCauley, I believe so. We will find one. The picture has been produced a number of times. Mr. Pagliuca, I've seen different iterations of this. I don't believe I have ever seen this. Miss McCauley, we had them blow it up on a page so she could see it. We could use an article. While you're looking for that, I will skip ahead. Hold that until we can find one that has the Bates range on it. Do you recall Virginia being at your London townhome? I do not. Do you recall going to dinner with, I bet that's Prince Andrew, Jeffrey Epstein, and Virginia Roberts in London at any time? I do not. Do you recall going to a place called Redacted? Jeffrey Epstein and yourself and Virginia Roberts. I would just like to state for the record, Redacted. I do not have any recollection of it, and I doubt it actually happened. You don't recall that. Do you recall taking Virginia shopping when you were in London to buy an outfit to meet Redacted? That is Prince Andrew. No, I don't. Where in your townhome? We will come back to that. Do you have guest bedrooms in your home in London? I do. How many? 2. Did Redacted ever visit Jeffrey and you in New York? Yes. Do you remember them or him visiting? I bet it's Prince Andrew now. Do you remember him visiting you and Jeffrey in New York in the spring of 2001? Again, I can't testify to any specific dates, so you don't have a recollection of that? I have a recollection. You've asked me if I have a recollection of being in New York, but if you're asking for a date, I cannot confirm that date. Do you remember Redacted being present in New York for a party where Redacted was also present? I don't recollect Do you recall ever giving Redacted a gift of a puppet that was in the same, that looked like him? It is Prince Andrew, because I just heard this morning on the podcast. Okay, I never gave him a gift of a puppet. Did Jeffrey ever give him a gift of a puppet? Uh, no, not that I'm aware of. Um, Hold on. Have you ever given him any gifts? Mr. Pagliuca, objection, foundation. I know, redacted. Have you ever given him any gifts that you remember when he came to Jeffrey's home in New York? I don't recall giving him any gifts in New York. Maxwell, Exhibit 5, picture, marked for identification. I think I directed you to page 0034. Is that a picture that was taken at your London townhome? I have no idea what this picture was taken. I know what she purports it to be, but I'm not going to say that I do. Do the surroundings look like your London townhome? I bet it's that picture with Prince Andrew, Virginia, and then Jelaine standing next to the wall, whatever, standing next to the door frame. Anyway, do you know who took this picture? I do not. Did Jeffrey Epstein take this picture? I just testified I don't know who took the picture. So you don't know if Jeffrey Epstein took the picture? When I tell you I don't know who took this picture, it doesn't mean him. I don't know who took the picture. You can come up with 50 names. I still do not know who took the picture. Did you observe Prince Andrew go into a room with Virginia alone in your townhome? I bet that's who it is now that they've brought up the puppet thing. Okay, I cannot recall. As I've said, no. Did Redacted ever tell you that he had sex with Virginia Roberts? He did not. Did Jeffrey Epstein ever tell you that Redacted had sex with Virginia? He did not. Did Redacted ever visit? Let me back up for a moment. We talked about Jeffrey's homes. Did Jeffrey have a home in the U.S. Virgin Islands called Little St. James? Yes. Did Redacted ever visit that island? Are you aware of Redacted ever visiting Jeffrey's Island? I'm aware of that, yes. Do you know how many times he visited? I do not. Do you know if he visited when Virginia was on the island? I do not. Were you present on the island when Redacted visited? Yes. How many times? I can only remember once. Were there any girls under the age of 18 on the island during that one visit that you remember that were not family or friends of or daughters of your friends? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the former foundation. There were no girls on the island at all. No girls, no women, other than the staff who worked at the house. Girls meaning, I assume you're asking underage, but there was nobody female outside of the cooks and the cleaners. Did you, as part of your duties in working for Jeffrey, ever arrange for Virginia to have sex with Redacted? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the former foundation. Just for the record, I have never at any time, at any place, in any moments, ever asked Virginia Roberts, or whatever she's called now, to have sex with anybody. Did you ever provide Virginia Roberts with an outfit of a sexual nature to wear for Redacted? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the former foundation. I think we addressed the outfit issue. I'm asking you if you ever provided her with an outfit of a sexual nature to wear for Redacted. Categorically no. You did get that. I said categorically no. Don't worry, I'm paying attention. You seem very distracted in that moment. Maxwell, Exhibit 6, flight logs marked for identification. Do you mind if I take a break for the bathroom? It's 11:08, and we're going to go off the record now. The videographer, it's now 11:09. We are off the record, recess. The videographer, it's now 11:26. We're back on the record and starting disc number 3. Miss Maxwell, I think I handed you right before the break. Did I hand you the flight logs? They look like this. Did I mark those yet? I thought I did. I don't believe I have it. These admittedly are a little difficult to read, so what I'm going to provide you with to assist is I have a chart that has the airport codes, because it will have, for example, just for the record, reflects that the first page of document Redacted, it will have a code in the form or from line that says PBI, for example, to TEB. So I chart that matches a chart that matches up just in case you don't understand what those letters mean. PBI means Palm Beach. TEB means Teterboro, whatever. Teterboro, I guess. I don't know. I've heard it pronounced different ways. Okay, which is New Jersey, but others are more difficult. But just for you to be able to understand the logs, I'll provide you with that. Mr. Pagliuca, so we're clear. If the witness has personal knowledge of what these are, that's fine, but I don't know what these are, and I don't expect the witness to accept the representation that they are what they are. Ms. McCauley, if she can testify to what city it is, she can state that on the record. Mr. Pagliuca, if she knows what it is, she knows what it is. We're not putting any affirmatively on the record until you ask your questions. So I'm going to ask you, and I think we flagged a few of the pages, which may direct us a little bit easier, but I will do it by Bates number, which is at the bottom of the document, kind of at the side. The first I will direct your attention to redacted. Does it have a tab? It should. Let me make sure. Yes, it does. So I'm directing your attention to the bottom. 2 lines up from the bottom, there's a flight. Mr. Pagliuca, are you on redacted? You're redacted. Okay, so this flight is from the one I'm looking at. I think it's highlighted on your copy. On the far corner on the date, it says redacted at the top, and this would be the redacted, and then the redacted are the 2 I'm going to direct your attention to. On that first one, on the redacted, you'll see the column reading PBI in the from column to TEB in the to column, and you will see some initials. You will see JE for Jeffrey Epstein, GM for Ghislaine Maxwell, and redacted for redacted, and then Virginia. I have to object. You don't get to object. She's turning into a lawyer already. I would like to. Let me ask the questions, and if you have an issue. So, with respect to this flight, do you recall being on a flight in the redacted, going from Palm Beach to Teterboro? No, I don't recall any specific flight. Do you recall flying with you or Virginia on a flight with redacted and Jeffrey Epstein at any time? I don't. How old or how often did you fly on a plane with a 17-year-old? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to Foreman Foundation. I have no idea what you're talking about other than friends of mine that had kids. Did you regularly fly on Jeffrey's plane with individuals who are under the age of 18? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the Foreman Foundation. Can you repeat the question? Did you regularly fly on Jeffrey Epstein's plane with individuals who were under the age of 18? I regularly flew on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane, but I cannot testify as to flying with people under the age. I don't believe that I did. Why wouldn't you remember flying with the 17-year-old? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the Foreman Foundation. How would I know? One, that she's 17. How would you know that? How do you know I'm on the plane? Are you saying you're not on this flight? So this is a Palm Beach to Teterboro. This says the JEGM redacted in Virginia. The GM you are saying is not you. Mr. Pagliuca, I object to the question. You can answer the question if you know. How do you know the GM is me? Is it your testimony that on the flight logs, when it represents GM, that it is not you flying on the plane? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the Foreman Foundation. GM can stand for any level. It could be Georgina, George. Are there any people that fly with Jeffrey Epstein that had the initials GM? I don't know. Do you recall flying with Jeffrey Epstein on his plane over 300 times during the period of 1999 to 2005? I can testify to how many, I cannot testify to how many times I was on his plane because that would be impossible. You were on his plane regularly, would you say? I already testified I was on his plane regularly. Is it your testimony? And I'm referring now to the line that we were just talking about, that you were not on the flight from Palm Beach to Teterboro that lists JEGM redacted in Virginia. I'm not testifying to that. I'm just saying that you cannot be sure that it's me. So, as you sit here today, you don't believe you flew on that plane. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you cannot be sure that's me. Do you have reason to doubt that when it says GM on these flight logs, that that represents you? I cannot testify to that. I'm just saying it may not be me. In looking at the flight logs and look up, let's move on a couple of lines. If you start at the top, you're going to see JE redacted, then JE redacted, redacted, JE redacted, redacted, JEGM, 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 redacted, reposition, JEGM, JEGM, redacted, JEGM, redacted, redacted, female, redacted, repositioning, JEGM, redacted, redacted, JEGM, redacted, redacted, JEGM, redacted, Virginia, JEGM, redacted, Virginia, repositioning, and then a certification. So it's your testimony of looking at that you do not believe that the GM represents you. Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form and foundation. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you cannot. I can't sit here and tell you for sure GM is me, and I cannot testify remembering being on a flight at that time. You don't remember being on any of these flights with the initial GM? I remember being on many flights. I cannot testify that is a flight I'm on. Let's go to the next page, which is going to be redacted. I want you to look at line. So the date is at the top, so it's redacted. And if you go down, you will see a line that says the redacted. And if you scroll over, you will see PBI to TIST. If you look at the airport code, TIST is going to be representative for the U.S. Virgin Islands. And then you will see the list on the plane, JEGM, redacted, and Virginia Roberts. Do you recall flying from Palm Beach to the U.S. Virgin Islands with Jeffrey, yourself, redacted, and Virginia Roberts? Mr. Pagliuca, I object to the form. And just so the record is clear, we don't agree with whatever your characterizations are. The document speaks for itself, and she can answer based on whatever her personal knowledge is. Miss McCauley, I understand. Do you recall flying with those individuals from Palm Beach to the U.S. Virgin Islands? I have no recollection of any individual flight you're putting out here. You're talking about 2001. How many years ago is that? I'm asking the questions. I'm not being difficult. It's just asking. I'm just asking. It's like 14, 15 years ago. It's impossible. I'm sorry. So your testimony is that you don't recall flying on that flight with Virginia Roberts. I cannot testify to that flight. Let's look at the next flight, which is on the redacted from the Virgin Islands back to Palm Beach. J.E., Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, redacted, Virginia Roberts, the same individuals on the above flight. It doesn't say my name. It has some initials. I understand the initials GM. Do you recall flying on a plane on one of Jeffrey's planes from the Virgin Islands to Palm Beach with Virginia Roberts? I do not. Was there any other person that flew with Jeffrey Epstein with frequency during that time period in these logs that have the initials GM? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. I would have to look at all the flight logs. I have no idea. I flew frequently. Why don't you take a look at the next 3 pages and see if that refreshes your recollection? Mr. Pagliuca, you're talking about redacted. Miss Cawley, she can pick any couple of pages. Those have a lot of the individuals on them, so that is a good sampling. Mr. Pagliuca, so pick any pages you want. Does that refresh your recollection at all as to whether GM represents you or some other individual? Again, I can't testify whether that represents me or not. I don't see any other GMs, but you have to understand that even if my name is on the record, doesn't mean I was on the flight. So are you contesting the accuracy of the flight logs? In other words, you said it doesn't represent you or on the flight. So is it your testimony just because a name is listed doesn't mean they're actually on the flight? Mr. Pagliuca, objection to the form of foundation. I can't testify to what these records are that were produced by Redacted is on here. So these aren't federally mandated records, so I can't testify to what he produced. I would like you to turn to page at the bottom. The Bates number is redacted and the month is redacted. Okay, if you go down to the number that is redacted, that would be redacted. You're going to see on that line and redacted, which is a redacted, and then you will see redacted, which is going to be, I'm going to pronounce it incorrectly, redacted. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Then you will see the list. You will see JEGM redacted. It looks like. I believe it says male. Yes. Then redacted, I believe. Is that GM on this page representative of you? Well, this would be a flight that I would potentially remember with redacted on it, but I don't actually recall going to Russia. All right, I'm going to stop right here where it says, are those initials? Do you recall being on the flight? Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.